Hi all, good morning. So yesterday we were discussing what is MDM and what is the data flow in MDM, and we discussed this architecture, right? So I hope you have an understanding what MDM do, what piece of what MDM piece of software do. MDM, which is used for deduplication process, or else MDM is a piece of software which is used to identify the best version of truth, right? So how the data flows in MDM? MDM gets data in two ways, as discussed yesterday: batch mode, real-time mode. And you are pretty much clear what is batch mode and what is real-time mode. Batch mode is handled by ETL most of the time, whereas real-time, inbound real-time mode is handled by SIFT APIs, Service Integration Framework APIs. After you identify the master data, you publish master data to the downstream subscribers again in two ways: batch mode, real-time mode. Outbound batch mode is handled by ETL, whereas outbound real-time mode is handled by JMSQ. So you need to know about SIFT APIs, JMSQ. Okay. So if you look at the architecture, just a quick walkthrough. You get data from different source systems into landing area, which is entry point to an MDM developer. Once the data got loaded into landing area, the responsibility of an MDM developer starts. Then what he do? He using MDM create mappings where you copy the data from land to stage. So what all things happen in stage process? We configure delta detection, we clean the data, we configure raw table, and we configure reject table. These all things happen in stage process. I clearly explained yesterday what is delta detection. Incrementally extracting source data is called as delta detection, or it's a mechanism which identifies the new and changed data from source system and process into MDM. Cleansing, you're pretty much clear. Cleaning the data, conversion of one form of data into another format. Raw table, which contains copy of source data for a certain interval of time. Raw table, which contains copy of source data for a certain interval of time. And what is all about reject table? Whatever record got dropped, whatever record is not valid, or is based on user-defined violation rules, if they are not met, you can drop that particular records into reject table with an error description. This all happens in stage process. Then what you're going to do? You run the load process. What happens in load process? Data is copied from stage to base object, and you are pretty much clear. On the top of base object, you are going to configure match and merge rule. Okay. So based on your match rules, you'll tell MDM either to go for auto merge or manual merge. What happens when you go for merge? Sorry, what happens when you go for match? Obviously, MDM will create a match pairs, right? After pairs got created, what is the next step? What is the main goal of MDM? You need to consolidate the records if you get the same entries. So after the match pairs got created, you need to merge. So based on the match rules, you will tell system whether to go for auto merge or manual merge. Auto merge means no need of any human intervention. As soon as match got completed, when you run the merge process, consolidation is going to happen. Manual merge is something you are not 100% sure the match rule what you configured, if the input records are met with that rule, you are not 100% sure they belong to the same customer. So Before consolidating them, you would like to have a review, and once you feel that yes, these two entries belong to the same customer, then you would like to merge it. Then you have to go for manual merge. This role is taken care by data steward. Okay. So in this whole process, there is a very important column in the base object with the name consolidation indicator. In MDM, these two tables plays a very key role: base object and base object cross reference. I repeat, in MDM, whenever you create any base object, 10 supporting tables are created. Among them, the two tables are base object and base object cross reference. And yesterday I told you, base object contains single version of truth, best version of truth. If a customer John is pulled from system A, system B, system C, okay, with different information. But end of the day, after identifying this John coming from three source systems belong to same entry, same customer, then in the base object, you see only one record per John. Whereas in cross reference, John coming from three systems will be captured in the cross reference. That is where you get the 360-degree view of a customer. If you join base object with cross reference, you get the 360-degree view of a customer. Okay. So in the base object, there is an important column that is called, that you will understand when I open the tool, but for the time being, just try to remember this. In base object, you have an important column that is consolidation indicator. When first time data gets into base object, consolidation indicator will be 4. Whenever you see a consolidation indicator 4 per record, that means this has just entered into MDM. Nothing has happened on it. Okay. When you execute the match process, okay, two things are going to happen in the match process: creation of match pairs, execution of match pairs. As soon as your match got completed in this process, consolidation indicator from 4 turns to 3. After the match got completed, it turns to 2. Whenever you see a record with consolidate indicator 3, that means this record is Q4 match. And whenever you see a record with consolidate indicator as 2, that tells us this records went in match process and this records are queued for merge. Okay. And whenever you see a consolidation indicator 1 after you merge, that is nothing but golden record. So in the base object, whenever you see a record with consolidate indicator 1, that tells us this record went with match and merge and identified the best version of truth. So I hope you understand the significance of consolidation indicator. This plays a very, very, very key role. Based on the consolidation indicator flag, you can decide what is the status of the record. Whether it's a new record or else, matching has happened on that particular record or merge has happened and finally identifying the best version of truth. So what is the exact status of the record? You can find out by looking into consolidation indicator flag. So this is the data flow in MDM. Now I would like to explain you another view of data architecture. This is very, 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 very important. Informatica MDM supports three-tier architecture. Informatica MDM supports three-tier architecture. Okay. Informatica MDM supports three-tier architecture. Very, very, very important. The first layer in MDM is database layer. The middle layer in MDM is application server layer. And the topmost layer in MDM is UI layer. I repeat, MDM supports MDM supports three-tier architecture. MDM supports three-tier architecture. The bottom layer is called as database layer. The middle layer is called as application server layer. And the top layer is called as UI layer. Okay. So MDM supports three-tier architecture. Let me elaborate more on this. So the top layer, that is called as UI layer. The top layer, what you see here. If you look at my cursor, the top layer is called as UI layer. UI stands for user interface layer. Okay, so most of the time, 90% as an MDM developer, we'll be working, you and I will be working on the top layer. Okay, so whatever software you take, it comes with client and server components, right? And I hope you are pretty much clear. In the client components, using client components, you are going to develop the code, and using server, what code you have developed, you are going to execute it, right? This is what happened in client component and server component. MDM also comes with client and server components. Okay, so in the top layer, in the UI layer, you'll be working with MDM client components. There are two client components in MDM. There are two client components in MDM. One is called Informatica MDM Hub Console. Okay, one is called Informatica MDM Hub Console, and other one is called IDD. This can also be called as BDD. And one more thing, guys, please try to remember this. Now, excuse me. Now this tool is called as Informatica MDM. Prior to Informatica MDM, this tool we used to call it as Hyperion MDM. Okay. And prior to this, we used to call this tool as MRM, and prior to this, CMS. Okay. This is the legacy of this MDM. MDM is not developed by Informatica Corporation like how you see Informatica Power Center, Informatica Data Quality, etc. Informatica MDM is an acquired product. Okay, so this product was developed in 1993 with a team, a small company called as CMS. The CMS has launched this product. In 2003, MRM has acquired this product from CMS. In 2005, Hyperion MDM has acquired this product. This product was with them for 5 years, but there were hardly some 10 to 12 clients. In 2010, Informatica MDM has acquired this product. And they have not developed any new things. But what they have done, they use their brand and they have done a lot of advertisement on this MDM. They explained what is the significance to have MDM in companies. And with their brand and a lot of advertisement, they got more than 200 to 300 clients now. Okay, so they have not developed any new things. They just enhanced. They just given some enhancements. That's it. Okay, I hope you understand. This is the legacy of Informatica MDM. It's not like Informatica Corporation has not developed this product. They have acquired this product, but they invested a lot of $1 million in advertisement. And they have enhanced. They have enhanced few things, but most of the 90% as it is built from Siberian. Okay. Okay. So the top layer in MDM is called as UI layer. In that UI layer, you have client components, and most of the time, as a developers, you and I will be working on topmost layer. Okay. So what exists in the topmost layer? Informatica MDM Hub Console, Informatica MDM Hub Console, and another client application is called as IDD. What is this IDD all about? Informatica Data Director. This can also be called as Business Data Director. Okay. So in Informatica MDM Hub Console, guys, you are going to develop the code. What do you mean by develop the code? You create landing tables, you create stage tables, you create base objects, then you create mappings, you standardize the data, you configure delta detection, raw table, etc. Then you run the load process, you configure the trust flows, you configure the match rules, you configure the merge settings. This all is what? Code development, right? So these all things are done in Informatica MDM Hub Console. Okay. IDD is a business monitoring tool. IDD is a business monitoring tool. If senior data stewards or if your product managers or if your business would like to access the master data, you can't give access to the Informatica MDM Hub Console because that is something that is completely technical, and Downstream subscribers or the business users or the data stewards or the project managers, they don't have a technical knowledge. They just have a functional knowledge. So IDD, Business Data Director or Informatica Data Director, which runs on the top of the MDM Hub console. IDD, which runs on the top of the MDM Hub console. Whatever resource objects or whatever code you developed using Informatica MDM Hub console, that code can be accessed through IDD in a more GUI format. I hope you understand what is the significance of IDD. IDD is a business monitoring tool which runs on the top of the MDM Hub console. IDD is a business monitoring tool which runs on the top of the MDM Hub console. Whatever code you develop in MDM, whatever resource objects you develop in MDM, or whatever resource objects you develop using Informatica MDM Hub console, those resource objects can be accessed through IDD in a more GUI format. I hope you understand. Next comes, before explaining about the middle layer, I would like to explain about the bottom layer. The bottom layer is called as hub database layer. Bottom layer is called as database layer. And what is the significance of this database layer? Let me explain. MDM is a GUI tool. Okay, guys, MDM is a GUI tool. MDM doesn't contain any storage area. Okay, MDM is a GUI tool, graphical user interface. It doesn't contain any storage area. So, what code you are going to develop in MDM that has to store, right? Without storing the code, how you are going to execute the code. So after you develop the code, you need to save it. But MDM doesn't have a storage area. Can you explain me what we store in MDM? Nothing but the table structures what you create and the data flow, like landing table, stage table, base object. Whatever code you develop in MDM that has to store in some location, right? But MDM doesn't have a storage area. That's the reason when you install MDM, you need to take help of a database. As of now, MDM supports only three kind of databases. What are they? Oracle, MySQL, DB2. These are the three databases which MDM supports. These are the three databases which MDM supports. Okay. So if you understand properly, the bottom layer in MDM is called as database layer, and what code you developed in the top layer, everything will be stored in database layer. Okay. There are two kind of database layers in MDM. One is called hub store. It can also be called as CMS system. Okay. And the other one is called as ORS. This can also be called as operational reference store. One is called hub store, other one is called ORS. Okay. One is called hub store and other one is called ORS. Can you tell me what is the difference among both? Okay, let me explain. Hub store contains all the configuration, user access and admin information. All the admin related activities are stored in hub store. HubStore is created at the time of installation of MDM tool. When you are installing MDM tool, all the configuration table information will be stored in HubStore. So when you want to install MDM and on your machine, it's mandatory. You need to have a database and you need to have two schemas. One schema to store the hub store and another schema is called as ORS. Database, nothing but which contains the collection of schemas. Schemas contain collection of tables, right? So what I'm trying to tell you, at the time you install MDM, you require a database that is called hub store or CMS system, okay? And the significance of that master database or hub store or CMS system is it stores all the tool configuration and user access information and all the admin related information in the hub store. Next comes ORS. There should be one ORS or there can be multiple ORS. What is ORS stands for? Operational Reference Store. What ORS stands for? Operational Reference Store. See, don't get confused, guys. ORS is nothing but a schema. But in MDM terminology, they call it as ORS. Okay. ORS is nothing but a schema. Okay. In MDM terminology, that is called as ORS. So what this ORS contains, let me tell you. ORS contains system tables and user defined tables. Can you elaborate more what is system tables and what is user defined tables? Let me tell you. System tables. See, you'll be working with a front end tool, right? When you click on something, something get open and you work with a drag and drop. But in the back end, what is going to happen? Wherever you click on something, in the back end, SQL queries are going to execute, and in the front end, they will display you in a GUI format, right? And whatever code you are going to develop, I told you that has to store it in database. Those are called repository tables. Okay, so those are called repository tables. So ORS contains system tables and user defined tables. When I say system tables, nothing but they are called as repository tables. To access the tool or whatever code you develop that stores in specific system tables or repository tables, and user defined tables are nothing but landing tables, stage tables, base objects, etc. These are called as user defined tables. I hope you people understand what is the significance between master database and ORS. Master database is created at the time of installation, at the time of environmental setup. What master database hub contains? Master database contains, the tool configuration and user access and admin related stuff. When you're installing the tool, all the tool configuration access information is stored in Hub Store. What ORS contains? Operational Reference Store. What ORS contains? ORS contains user-defined tables and system tables. What do you mean by system tables? Nothing but repository tables. What code you are going to develop using MDM client component, everything is going to store it in system tables, or you can call them as repository tables. And what user-defined table means? Nothing but the table structures what you create. Landing table, stage table, base objects, etc. Okay. Now let me explain you about the middle layer. The middle layer, this is very important. Without this, the jobs are not executed. The middle layer is called as application server layer. The middle layer is called as application server layer. So guys, till now we discussed the client components, right? Till now we discussed the client components. We discussed the client component and we discussed the database layer. So after you develop the code, when you would like to execute the code, what you require? You require a server. If you don't have a server, what is going to happen? You can develop the code, but you can never trigger the code, right? So MDM also has server concepts. There are two servers. One is called Hub server, another one is called Cleanse Math server. What is the significance of Hub server and what is the significance of Cleanse Math server? You need to always ensure Hub server is up and running fine. What happens if Hub server is not available? If Hub server is not available, what happens? You can't connect to the client components and you can't develop the code, and what code you develop, you can't save it in database. So what is the Hub server? Hub server is a communication layer between client components and database layer. If you would like to connect to the Hub console, Hub server should be up and running fine. Okay. And after you develop the code, I told that you execute the code. So Cleanse Math server is down. You can develop the code, but the thing is, you can't execute the code. Okay. If Cleanse Math server is down, you can develop the code by connecting to the Hub server, by connecting to the client components, because it uses Hub server to connect. But you can't execute the code what you develop. So all the time, guys, you need to ensure Hub server and Cleanse Math server are up and running fine. I hope you understand what happens when Hub server is down. When hub server is down, you can't connect to the client component. When cleanse math server is down, you can connect to the client component, you can develop the code, but the thing is you can't execute the code. Okay. And these services are deployed in an application server layer. MDM supports, you can install MDM on 3 application servers. Either JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. Nothing to do with this guys. You need not know any application server. These services run in the application server. Just you need to log in and you need to ensure the services are up and running fine. People ask me, do I need to know JBoss or WebLogic WebSphere? No, not required. Services are deployed on application server. You just need to connect to the application server and you need to ensure the services are up and running fine. That's it guys, nothing more than that. So what application servers MDM supports? JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. In our training session, we have installed JBoss. So our services are deployed in JBoss. Okay. So this is the architecture of MDM guys. I hope this session is very helpful. In the coming sessions, whatever we discuss that revolve around this architecture. So let me quickly recap the architecture once again. Informatica MDM supports a 3-tier architecture. The top layer is called as UI layer, the middle layer is called as application server layer, and the bottom layer is called as database layer. MDM supports 2 kinds of database layer. One is called HubStore, other one is called ORS. Okay. HubStore contains all the tool configuration and user access and admin related information. ORS contains user defined and system tables. The middle layer is called as application server layer. You know, MDM supports 3 type of application layers. You can install either on JBoss, WebLogic or WebSphere. And services are deployed in this application server. What are those services? Hub server and CleanseMath server. What is the significance of them? Hub server. If hub server helps us to connect to the client component and develop the code. CleanseMath server. CleanseMath server help us to execute the code. And the top layer is called as UI layer. In this top layer, you have 2 client components. Most of the time, you'll be working with MDM Hub Console. After the code got developed, you configure the IDD app, which is a business monitoring tool, which runs on the top of the MDM Hub Console. This is the architecture of MDM, guys. Please unmute your mic and let me know if you have any questions.